Hey, that looks like a great photo. I think I'll share it right away. Hey, that looks like a great photo. I think I'll share it eventually after I finish the roll and then find time to set up my developing equipment and mix the solutions and bring them up to temperature. Let's face it, traditional film photography has a big footprint. It takes up a lot of space, a lot of time, and a lot of inconvenience in your life. Some people like this. They feel like it's part of a lifestyle, but I'm over it. I'm past the idea of making things more difficult so I can feel like I'm special because I do them. That's why I've come up with what I call small footprint film processing. It's just a collection of hacks and old-timer tricks that make it a little bit more convenient to fit film developing into your lifestyle. Doesn't take up a lot of space, you can do just a few shots or a whole roll, doesn't take long to set up, and you still get high-quality results. The things that make it work are the Ars Imago lab box, which I don't love but is good for this, liquid concentrates, something I call mix to temp, and the concept of mise en place, something I stole from chefs. If you watched my review of the lab box, you know I'm not totally sold on it, but it is good for this process. It doesn't take up much space to store, and it does make it possible to develop partial rolls. It's the same thing with liquid concentrates. A lot of people don't like them and they are expensive, but they let you get going quickly and they make it possible to mix up just the quantity you need. Using liquid concentrates also lets you use the process I call mix to temp. Instead of using a water bath to get your solutions up to temperature, you simply mix the concentrate with water at a starting temperature that gives you the final temperature you need. You work this out with something called Rickman's formula. You don't actually have to do the formula because I've made an online calculator that you can use to work everything out. You just enter your dilutions, your starting temperatures, and it tells you what temperature and how much water to add to get the final results you want. Finally, there's mise en place, which is a concept that chefs use to work quickly and efficiently in the kitchen. It means starting out with everything in the right place and then putting it back in the place it needs to be next as you work. It saves a lot of mistakes and makes your process more efficient. Just so you can see how well this technique works or doesn't work, I'm going to do a little demonstration. I'm going to walk in totally cold with no preparation at all with this little roll of film. I've shot 5 frames on this roll of film and I kind of want to see them, but I don't want to waste the rest of the roll, so I'm going to develop just those 5 frames. I'm also going to put this clock in the scene so we can see how much time we're taking. And again, we're developing only 6 frames of this film. I shot 5 frames and I shot a blank after that because this process isn't completely precise. And we know from the table I made in my other video that to get 6 frames you need about 3 7/8 turns. So there's 1, 2, 3. I put a dot on this to make it easier to see. And that looks like about 7/8. Now I can pull up the cutting lever to cut off the rest of the film, give the knob a couple more turns to pull the film all the way onto the reel, and we're ready to start processing. Now I've already established that the temperature of my T-Max developer is 80 degrees because that's how hot it is in the cabinet where I keep both the developer and my thermometer. So I know when I put 2 ounces of developer in this, and this is like the very last in this bottle, it just barely makes 2 ounces. So I got 2 ounces of 80 degree stuff. To wind up with 75 degree stuff, I need to add my mix water at 73.8 degrees. Now to mix 73.8 degrees from my 80 degree water, I have 40 ounces of water in this pitcher. I've also got some drinking water that I always keep in the refrigerator, which I know is at 35 degrees because that's how I have the refrigerator set. And my Rickman calculator tells me I need to add 6.4 ounces of that water. By the way, this is all proportion, so you can use metric measures if you prefer. So now I'm going to take out my cold water. I'm going to add about 6.4 ounces, just enough to get it up to 46 and a little more. Now I should have water that's at just about exactly 73.8 degrees. So now I'm going to add 8 ounces of this water to get the total volume up to 10 ounces. And by mixing the temp, my developer should now be at just about exactly the 75-degree temperature that I want. And now that we've been through this process, we'll be able to take a look at it and wash it. Before we get involved in washing, as I said, I like to keep the wet side and the dry side separate. And with the lab box, you can actually disconnect the loading part, and I'll set that aside. As you can see, we've completed the developing process, and according to our clock, we've spent just under 20 minutes, and remember, that was walking in the absolutely cold with no preparation at all. Here's another old-timer's tip. If you want your film to dry as fast as possible so you can start scanning it right away, and if you don't particularly care about archival permanence, go to a drugstore and get some 91% isopropyl alcohol, then mix your wetting agent with this instead of with water. You can save it in a jar and use it over and over. The alcohol drives the water out of your film after you've washed it, so it dries much more quickly, usually in a matter of minutes.